Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Clare, Beckett, McInroy. Thank you for accepting to be with us today in Bahrain Coaching Day celebrations. And I would like to thank BSTD, Bahrain Society for Training and Development, and our strategic partner, ICF Bahrain chapter, to make this happen.
Brilliant. And thank you for inviting me here today to speak.
Thank you. Clare, I was thinking about the theme of the day. I mean, bringing coaching home. Where did this all start? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where did this all start?
So I started my coaching journey about 15 years ago, and I was in Bahrain. And at the time, I was training with CTI in Dubai. So flying backwards and forwards for the initial training, and then it moved online for the certification. And then my experience was taking it across the region initially. So face-to-face programs, which is what people tended to prefer. And yet the fact that we could be eclectic groups, because we've been delivering coach training online for at least 8 to 9 years, meant the richness of learning together.
Tell us about your own journey, where this all started, the entire coaching thing for you. Let's take you there.
So I suppose I'm going to go all the way back to Manchester in the UK. And I'm thinking when I was 11 years old, I left what's called Brownies and I became a young leader supporting the Brownie Pack, and we'd go camping and we'd do badges that you sew on your arms. But all the way back then, I really enjoyed especially supporting youth and women. And then I went to Leeds, to university to train to be a teacher, so further north in the UK. And during that time, I was also supporting the Prince's Trust, where I then...
It actually took us to Lahore.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So I've been to India, but I've not been to Lahore. Yeah. So then after Leeds University, I then moved to London, and I was teaching children with learning difficulties and emotional behavioural problems. And that's what, because it was quite a unique school, that's what got me first into coaching, because I was doing a programme back in University of Manchester now, bouncing back there. It seems to always be a magnet from where I was born. And that was in what was called Careers, Education and Guidance. And now I'd call it, for a number of years, career coaching. So I moved into psychometrics, and then I started teaching in mainstream schools. And that took me to Bahrain, where I was in St. Christopher's School and assistant head of sixth form, and supporting students in their career and course choices. And I'd say that was the biggest shift into coaching.
Wow.
And then working with students at universities when I got my master's and PhD. And that was when I just got really curious of the difference between teaching and lecturing compared to a coaching style of delivery. And one of the very first programs I remember was from the Aspire Institute, which is run and owned by Sam Collins, who's from the UK. She lives in the States now. And it was a program about networking delivered in a coaching style. And that just made me think, hey,
remember that.
Yeah, at the Capital Club, and I wanted to blend the teaching and the careers and the coaching style, and I wanted to be able to do that properly. So that's when I started training with CTI. But one thing I've also done is ensured that I've trained with a number of coach training schools, because it adds to the richness, meeting different people in different locations. So fly across to Henley now, Henley on Thames, Henley Business School. So that's the place that I did my
Henley.
That's it, Henley on Thames, yeah. I think
Business School, here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
And we have two of them. We have the White Knight and the Greenlands.
Greenlands is the most gorgeous place. In fact, it is absolute zen in terms of the scenery and
wow, look at this.
History.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing place to stay. You can see. Yeah, and so I trained as a supervisor of coaches with Henley Business School, and in systemic team coaching in the centre of London, just down the road from, well, wow. It's a long road, but down the road from Henley, with AOEC. And I've also trained with IC Agile, becoming a certified Agile coach, and then bringing all that together and consolidating this under the Coach Me programs. I've used all that learning and got ICF and AC, and the programs now all the way from introduction to coaching, organizational coaching, executive team and board coaching, and at level 7, which is master's level, training to be a certified mentor coach and also a supervisor. So over the years, as well as doing the coaching, I've kept my hand in the sort of, you know, the rucksack that I've got with all my experience of delivering as a teacher and MBA lecturer as well.
Now, looking at your journey and moving around virtually moving around the globe and looking at those, you know, I remember back in like 6-7 years ago, we used to have those Capital Club gatherings to promote coaching in Bahrain, and doing those events, doing the, you know, the little gigs we used to do together, and whether we're in schools, universities. Now, from your perspective as a practitioner, Claire, let's play with some metaphor. If coaching industry was a country, which country do you think it represents right now?
Ooh. That's a hard one. So the first country that came to mind was Georgia.
Georgia. Which Georgia? Oh, and which spelling?
So specifically, yeah. So
the country or the states?
Georgia. Yeah, the country. The country.
Okay.
The top one. Yeah.
Here we go. Why Georgia?
So the reason that sprung to mind is maybe because you're throwing me around this globe. I haven't been on a plane for a whole year, bar a few days. And the last country I visited was Georgia. So maybe that's why this came up. Tbilisi, the capital, Georgia, is just the most gorgeous and colourful and rich, and the food's amazing, and there's an abundance of colours and textures. So that's one thing that I found in terms of coaching over the last few years, taking deep dives into things like narrative coaching, and adding another colour, and Gestalt and positive psychology. And this this country has so much. It's got the sea and the lakes, and it's got as a family, one of our favourite places is Gudari, which is a ski resort. So when I think of that, I think being on top of the mountain and looking down at the village and wide on a sunny day, and skiing going fast down the hills. And so much in coaching has moved fast over the last couple of years. And I'm thinking here in terms of, you know, we've worked on the ground in 8 different countries, and 14 different countries, if my numbers are correct, in terms of people attending our programs, with people at the moment getting up early in the morning with the snow in Canada, and yet on the same program, people in India and Malaysia and so forth. So looking down on that mountain and seeing far and wide is the way coaching feels to me right now. But also the moving fast down the hill and the way it's taking off so much more in organisations, and the wind and the speed as you ski down. And then also the white and the bright, because there's, for me, so much more quality in coaching in terms of professionalism. And then on the other side, this ski resort is still growing, and the hotels are still being built. And for me, one thing the profession needs is ensuring the quality stays whilst the growth takes place. And even more than that, things like leaders coaching organisations, team coaching's taking off. There's another hotel being built. And what way can we ensure that people really tap into what the needs of the team leaders and the teams are, and the wider systems, whilst also ensuring that there's depth that people are receiving on coach training programs and as clients in coaching, what they need for the future. And it just takes me back to being there, and, you know, -12, I think it was, at night, and it's dark, and yet you go from that feeling to looking up and seeing the snow falling down, and the snowflake in your hand, and how beautiful it is. And, you know, the moments of when I'm thinking of my daughters, the first time being brought up in the Middle East, the first time they see snow, and every snowflake is unique. So there's so much there in terms of metaphors that you've made me think about. And another one, I'm talking a lot, another one with all of that is a lot of the work we've done is supporting youth. So volunteering, training youth to use coaching competencies.
Was that in Bahrain? The batches that we've done in Bahrain, and there were some batches that we worked with internationally as well. Now let's bring us here that this is right good. This is a Bahraini coaching day, and we are talking about the contributions coaches do to the society as human beings, not necessarily only as Bahrainis. Where do you see this contribution is going moving forward from now? Contribution of coaches to the society and humanity.
I think it's over there somewhere on Mars, as opposed to on the globe, on Mars. Just seen recently on the news, is there life on Mars? And For me, I'm seeing beyond the globe now and seeing the shining stars in the distance and connecting at a human level, asking powerful questions in a powerful way, to listen beyond the words and to understand things from different perspectives and different angles is just an amazing experience that is effectively out of this world when you feel that experience at its best. And if we can connect at a human level, there'll be more equity. People will celebrate diversity. There will be more belonging. And in terms of innovation, thinking of the collaborations in terms of getting vaccines out at the moment with COVID-19, and when people lean in to support each other, the whole is so much bigger than the parts. And I've enjoyed every collaboration that I've ever done with other coaches, just because of that rich experience.
I like the thought of that. The power of coaching can go even beyond the globe. Is kind of something that radiates from this society to outside. And when you look at, you've worked in Bahrain, you were one of the founding members of ICF Bahrain chapter. You collaborated with BSTD previously and continue doing even today, as even though you are outside Bahrain, but your impact and work is still showing here in the region.
Thank you.
Claire, what is your aspiration for coaches who are practicing coaching in Bahrain and in the region? What do we need to do?
We need to, one thing, ensure that we get the proper support in terms of mental coaching, so growing coaching competencies, being at our best and at our edge, but also something that's relatively new in the region, supervision. So resourcing, that element of restoring, growing and developing as professionals, and having that professional sounding board in terms of tricky situations or clients. And I think supervision is especially important for team coaches because of the multifaceted nature of that work and 3-, 4-, and 5-way contracting with organizations, and the questions around who is the client. So it isn't just I'm trained, I've got my ACC, that's me. It's an ongoing development process and lifelong learning for sure.
Yeah. I also, to add on what you said, it is not a region bound anymore as well. So whether you're working in GCC, you're working in the United States, you're working in Australia, we do work with multiple coaches, different diverse backgrounds, and one of our ethical, ethical requirements or things that we are bound to do are no differentiation based on where are you from, not discrimination, sorry, for where are we from, inclusion of all coaches, mentors, supervisors from all different cultures. We are there to support regardless of where you are, because coaching as a practice is not a profession, it's the way we are. It's not what we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's who you're being.
Yeah.
As a person in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So Claire, did we bring the coaching home from our interview today?
So totally, it takes me back to conversations with Salman Al-Fadhan, the president of ICF,
that point,
Bahrain, the very first president, and I was VP, and I'm thinking also the first BSTD conference with over, I think there was over 300 people there. Absolutely fabulous. And that was about at least 6 or 7 years ago. It was pretty trailblazing for the region in terms of the impact that was created there, and the awareness and the support from the country to recognise this is something that isn't going away. This can have an impact on our society, our organisations, our families, our community.
True. And our region and, you know, our race as human being as well, right?
Absolutely.
I'd like to take a moment to lock that in. So Clare McInroy, how we can close this session?
Great question. How about we close it with a question?
Go ahead.
So that the people listening can take this away and reflect. And I haven't come with a question, so now I need to think of a question. With no borders and no boundaries, what's the absolute impact coaching can have on our world? And there we go.
Like that. Thank you very much, Claire. This was a very interesting and nice session. Thank you for being open and honest with us and helpful and giving us the insights of what would work and what is going on, and reflecting on what is going on in the coaching world and what is the aspiration for it. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. And
best of luck with coaching week.
Thank you. It's a happy coaching day.
Absolutely. Perfect.